UFC Fight Night, Whittaker versus Till on Fight Island 3 takes place this weekend, and this is the Fight Island card I have been waiting for since UFC 251, the best of the fight nights on Fight Island. We're going to be going through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving our prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card, starting with our amazing early prelim opener of Nathaniel Wood versus John Castanada. I have no idea why this is the early prelim opener. I think of Nathaniel Wood as a bit of a bigger name than an early prelim opener right now, but still, they've given him an early prelim opener. I think it's something to do with the fact that he's taken on a guy on short notice in John Castanada, who is right now the #1 ranked regional Mexican bantamweight. He's no slouch, 17-4, a good record. Nathaniel Wood coming off a bad loss to John Dodson, but in hindsight, you know what? He showed us that he can compete with John Dodson. I took away a lot of good things from the Nathaniel Wood loss to John Dodson. He showed us he can compete with John Dodson. He showed us that he could be winning against John Dodson in a fight, but then he got clipped in the third round, got dropped, got hurt on the ground as well. It wasn't a bad stoppage, don't get me wrong. I think the referee actually could have jumped in a little bit sooner, but he left it too long. Nathaniel Wood started getting back up to his feet, and in hindsight, now that the fight is over and I've had time to digest it, maybe the best call of Nathaniel Wood's career, because let's say he got what he wanted, and that fight got let go a little bit longer, and he got back to his feet, and he was rocked with a guy like John Dodson in front of him, and then he gets KO'd stiff. These things can happen if these stoppages are not done. So in fact, I feel like the stoppage may have saved Nathaniel Wood's career a little bit. There's a chance that Nathaniel Wood could have came back and maybe did something in that third round, but still, it most likely would have been a 10-8, so who knows how the scorecards would have looked by the end of it. There were some close rounds in there as well, but Nathaniel Wood, I feel like he's going to bounce back. He's taken a bit of time off, fought last in February, I believe it was, UFC Rio Rancho on the prelims. Good fight, took some time off, coming back now. It wasn't a long time off, but he's a bantamweight. They normally don't take the same damage. Like if a heavyweight was returning a couple months after a TKO loss, I'd be worried. But a bantamweight, you can kind of come back a little bit sooner. He's taken 5 months. I feel like he's going to pay off against John Castanada. I was even going to pick him against Umar Nurmagomedov. Dagestanis, hit the dislike button below. I was going to pick him against Umar Nurmagomedov, but John Castanada, I think he's gonna beat John Castanada. Castanada's a dangerous guy. Beaten some good guys as well, but has won his last fight. Before that, he lost 2 fights. Those were his big jump-ups in his career, those 2 fights, and he lost both of them. That tells me that maybe he's not quite ready for prime time, and Nathaniel Wood is going to send him probably to the Contender Series to earn another shot in the UFC after he loses to Nathaniel Wood. I'll go with Nathaniel Wood by Darce choke in the second round. I don't know why he gets submissions, but he seems to do it a lot, because before the UFC, he was getting KOs, but now he's getting submissions. I like it though. Darce choke from Nathaniel Wood in the second round, but either way a finish for sure. Ramazaname versus Stose. Stose coming out of Germany. Ramazaname last fought Anthony Rocco Martin, lost a razor close decision in UFC Moscow, Russia. It was a very close fight, to be fair to him. Very close fight. But Anthony Rocco Martin is a guy who went to a very close fight with Neil Magny. He's no slouch. And Ramazaname had a real good performance, not to mention that Ramazaname's UFC debut was at light heavyweight against Sam Alvey, and he beat him. And I know that doesn't sound very good when you first hear it, but he's a welterweight up to light heavyweight. And Sam Alvey is the same Sam Alvey that just went to a split decision with Ryan fucking Spann. That looks really good, kind of, to me. I like Ramazaname here. He's got a better resume. Also, Stose is a guy from Germany. He's fought in a lot of regional scenes and a lot of unknown promotions. He's been, those promotions that just the names seem to change, and then they have one event and then the entire promotion is over. And then there's another event somewhere and that entire promotion is over. He's had a lot of those fights, and then he had 2 fights over at Bama, which was supposed to be his big jump up to get him all the eyes that he wanted, and he failed both times. Again, don't think he's ready for the prime time. Ramazaname is no easy test to get into the UFC against, so I'm going to be picking Ramazaname to get the job done. Probably by unanimous decision, just schooling Stose. Maybe even a finish in the third round, because Stose's taking this on short notice. But Ameev wins the fight. Betchko Heya versus Pani Kanzad, women's MMA. How do I predict this? I'm going to go with Pani Kanzad here. Betchko Heya, in my opinion, arguably could have beaten Ciara Eubanks. Well, she arguably could have lost to Ciara Eubanks. It was a close fight back and forth between a couple strikes in that third round. Could have gone either way, in my opinion, but Ciara Eubanks got a takedown in there as well that might have swayed things in her favour. Nevertheless, they gave it to Betchko Heya. I understand. I'm okay with that. But Pani Kanzad is somewhat decent. And I was really looking at this fight and I thought to myself, right, well, Pani Kanzad has had some questionable losses, as I raise an eyebrow very highly. Macy Chiasson some other girls that aren't so good. But then I started looking at those girls and I thought to myself, well, hang on a second. I'd probably pick Macy Chiasson to beat Betchko Heya. So I'm not really going to hold that against Pani Kanzad here. She's got experience, which is crazy as it sounds, because Betchko Heya feels like she's been around the game for decades now. But still, Pani Kanzad has the experience advantage. She's got the size advantage. She's got the reach advantage as well. I'm just going to be going off physical attributes here. Both girls have lost some questionable fights. Both girls have won against not the best opponents in the world, but Pani Kanzad is coming off a clear win against Jessica Rose Clark, where she looks really good. So I'm going to be going with Pani Kanzad to get the job done by decision, of course. Women's MMA, but it's going to be by decision. Unanimous decision, 30-27, all in favour of Pani Kanzad to win against Betchko Heya. Moving on up the card, Tanner Bosa. I'm actually excited about this one. Tanner Bosa versus Rafael Pessoa. Rafael Pessoa was supposed to be fighting someone else on this card. I don't even remember who it was. But Tanner Bosa stepped in on short notice, saving the day. Tanner Bosa coming off a quick win against Felipe Lins. Very impressive performance against Felipe Lins. I actually picked Lins to beat Tanner Bosa because I wasn't really too sold that a win over Daniel Spitz means that you can also beat Felipe Lins, but apparently it does, and Tanner Bosa came out there like an absolute savage and destroyed Felipe Lins in that first round with a great performance, a great KO. Now he's turning around. Activity is key to success in the UFC. I know that Jeff Hughes last fought Rafael Pessoa and lost to him. Before that, Rafael Pessoa just got completely annihilated by Cyril Gane, but you know, every heavyweight before long is going to be annihilated by Cyril Gane, in my opinion, even Shamil Abdurakhimov next month. But still, Rafael Pessoa has some fights signed. He was supposed to be fighting Justin Tafar on this card. That's who he was supposed to be fighting. I feel like Tanner Bosa is going to come in there, be a bit of a problem on short notice. He seems in the best shape I've ever seen him in. I'm betting on Tanner Bosa to get the job done by TKO. I know it's probably not... Actually, you know what? Not TKO. Rafael Pessoa doesn't get TKO'd. I'll go with Tanner Bosa by decision. Rafael Pessoa doesn't get TKO'd. He's got somewhat of a good chin. He got cracked by big shots in his career. He takes them quite well. I'll go with Tanner Bosa by unanimous decision. Getting the job done. I don't see a way that Rafael Pessoa wins, but he's good, man. He's fought some decent competition. He definitely has a chance in this fight. I'm just going to be going with Tanner Bosa. I'm sold on him. You KO Felipe Lins in the first round. You're on my fucking radar. I'm going with Tanner Bosa, getting the job done. Moving on up the card. Movsar Evloev versus Mike Grundy could be on the main card. I love this fight. 12-0, undefeated Movsar Evloev. Great performances throughout his career against really good opponents as well. Mike Grundy coming off a big win against Nad Narimani in his UFC debut. Only 1-0 inside the UFC promotion right now. Very new to the game. I know that the English fans are going to be wanting me to pick Mike Grundy here. But Movsar Evloev beat Enrique Barzola. I have quite a bit of respect for Enrique Barzola. Enrique Barzola beat Bobby Moffett. Bobby Moffett had a real close fight with Bryce Mitchell. I don't know if you guys remember this, but like, maybe that isn't the best way to predict this fight due to MMA math, but I feel like Movsar Evloev has definitely fought a better level of competition than Mike Grundy had. And Mike Grundy has a good win over Nad Narimani, don't get me wrong. However, in that fight, it wasn't exactly dominant in the first place. And then also the stoppage, in my opinion, was little bit early. Also, you've got the youth on Movsar Evloev's side. You've got the size a little bit as well. He's a bigger guy at the weight class, but Mike Grundy's not a small featherweight by any means. Reach advantage slightly in favour of Movsar Evloev. Put it like this. If both these guys were the same age, I respect Grundy's grappling, by the way, but if both these guys were the same age, I would still pick Movsar Evloev, and they're not, and Mike Grundy's 33 years of age. I feel like we may have gotten to him a little bit too late. I'm going to go with Movsar Evloev getting a job done. He's got good wins over decent opponents. I know how good he is. I don't know how good Mike Grundy is. I'm going with Movsar Evloev by probably decision. I just burped through that. I'm going to go with a decision. Movsar Evloev gets the job done over 3 rounds. 29-28. I think Grundy steals one. Grundy's going to have some moments. 29-28 in favour of Movsar Evloev. Moving up the card. Tom Aspinall versus Jake Collier. Jake Collier, been in the UFC before, been KO'd. I believe he's been in the UFC before. Or did he never leave the UFC? Oh my god. Where has he been? Where has he been? He never left the UFC. Are you kidding me? So he's just been off for 3 years. He's going to get KO'd regardless by Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall, a guy I have a lot of respect for from the UK. Big guy at heavyweight as well with quick hands and good footwork as well. Something not a lot of people talk about when it comes to Tom Aspinall. His feet move with him, which at heavyweight... I mean, heavyweight is hard to have footwork, period. So good footwork. As soon as I see that in a heavyweight, I'm on board. I'm going with Tom Aspinall here. I think he's going to get the jump on Jake Collier in the first round by TKO. He used to train with Tyson Fury in a boxing gym. I just feel like Tom Aspinall's going to get the job done now. Do I know that Jake Collier could maybe go out there and get a takedown and all of a sudden Tom Aspinall's not looking so dominant? Yes, I do understand that. I just feel like Tom Aspinall, I would have picked him against Rafael Pessoa, which was a fight that was supposed to be happening. Jake Collier did not have a fight signed. Tom Aspinall did and was supposed to be fighting at UFC London, which means he's had a full camp and he knows he's fighting. Jake Collier didn't know he was fighting. I'm going to be going with Tom Aspinall, getting a job done by TKO in the first round. Jake Collier, not even a big heavyweight either as well. Could arguably be a light heavyweight, but still, I'm going to be going with Tom Aspinall. I think he gets the jump on Collier. First round, TKO, moving up the card. Nicholas Dalby versus Jesse Ronson. I don't know why fighters get angry. I've seen Dalby was a little bit disappointed by the fact that his opponent fell out. I understand, but at the same time, free win. Jesse Ronson is a free win. I know that a lot of people are going to say, dude, you can't say that. Anyone's got a chance in MMA. But I swear to God, if Nicholas Dalby loses this fight, I don't even know what to say. If he loses this one against Jesse the Body Snatcher Ronson, catches his own fucking body more than his opponents apparently, 21-10, not the best record in the world. Every single time he's had to step up in competition, he's lost. Fought for some big promotions, and again, this is the same thing as Nicholas Stose, as I was talking about earlier in the card. This guy's beaten some guys at TKO, he's beaten some guys at ACB, he's beaten some guys at Excessive Force. Lost to some guys at Excessive Force, actually, sorry. Then he goes over to a promotion like PFL, loses both of them. You know, it's a sign that maybe you aren't ready for the UFC, but you know what, he's got the call. He was supposed to be fighting in March anyway on short notice, so he's known that he's going to be fighting in the UFC, so this is not a short notice bout. He was supposed to be fighting Darren Smith Jr., who I have no idea who the fuck that is. Supposed to be fighting him on March in the UFC. Or maybe not, just maybe in a different promotion. So he's been training for a camp under the current circumstances of the world. Nicholas Dalby's going to get the job done. I like Nicholas Dalby since leaving the UFC. Came back, he beat some good opponents. Fought the who's who outside the UFC as well over at Cage Warriors. Even in my opinion, even though the contest with him and Ross Houston was called a no contest, I think he would have won that fight. I think we were well on our way to seeing a Nicholas Dalby win over Ross Houston in a big upset. And I think he'll come back and he just beat Alex Oliveira. Even though in that fight as well, there's a little bit of controversy because Alex Oliveira was on top of Nicholas Dalby in the third round. They were in Copenhagen, where Dalby's the hometown boy. And, not hometown, but, you know, hometown boy, Nicholas Dalby in Copenhagen. They stood it up in the third round for no fucking reason. And then Dalby got on top of Oliveira and won the third round. If they didn't stand it up early, we could have seen an Oliveira win. But that's okay, because Oliveira I have a ton of respect for, and even if you make a fight look close against Oliveira, I'm still going to pick you against a bum like Jesse Ronson. No offense. I hope he annoys me and gets a KO over Nicholas Dalby. That would be really funny. I just feel as though Dalby gets it done by TKO in the second round. Actually by submission. I think he'll get the mish against Jesse Ronson, probably rocking him on the feet in the first round, then dragging him down into a submission. Rear naked choke finish by Nicholas Dalby in the first or second round. Moving on up the card, we go to Francisco Trinaldo versus Jai Herbert. No idea why this is headlining the prelims, but Trinaldo's been around for a long time, so I guess they're giving him some respect. Trinaldo has fought a lot of guys. I think Jai Herbert's going to beat him. Jai Herbert has beaten a lot of good guys in the scene, and I think he's been on his way to the UFC for a very long time. Does a lot of his training with guys like Leon Edwards over in Birmingham, with Fabian Edwards as well, trains out of that gym, another great fighter that fights at Bellator, Leon Edwards' brother. Jai Herbert is no slouch, the Black Country Banger. It's a decent nickname. I haven't heard that one before, so as soon as you get a unique nickname, that's all good in my books. So, good wins. Jack Grant is a decent fighter. Steve O'Keefe, decent fighter though. I don't know why I just made that fucking weird noise, but still, decent fighter. He's also had an excessive amateur career over some good fighters. He went 5-1 in his amateur career. 6 fights as an amateur tells me you're serious about fighting for a career. I think that Jai Herbert gets it done. He's been on a roll recently of quick KOs. Finishes in the third round as well throughout his career, which shows that he still has the gas tank to put it on later on. Also, he was training for a fight against Mark Jacasey at UFC London before the whole world started sneezing in unanimously, or started sneezing in synchronization. Jai Herbert gets it done over Francisco Trinaldo. He definitely gets it done. I think he does. I think he gets a TKO. I don't know, man. Trinaldo's never been TKO'd. He's got a good chin. I don't know if I'm going to go TKO. I think he rocks him a couple times, doesn't get the finish, but him rocking Trinaldo is enough to win him the fight. I'm going to go Jai Herbert getting big moments, winning the fight based on those moments, but Trinaldo's going to be in there for the distance. I'll go with, you know what, 30-26 in favour of Jai Herbert getting the job done. Moving on up the card to the main card. Here's where things get... They're not interesting yet, but they will be soon. But still, Alex Oliveira versus Peter Sobotta. If you don't know Peter Sobotta, he's the guy that got the shit beat out of him by Leon Edwards over 3 rounds. He's a big guy for the welterweight division, don't get me wrong. But Alex Oliveira coming off a win against Max Griffin. You know, he's been active as well. He didn't take a lot of damage in that Griffin fight. Actually, he did take a little bit of damage, but still, Oliveira won that fight, in my opinion. It's good to catch Oliveira coming off a win rather than a loss, because that way he has a little bit of momentum on his side. I'm going to be going with Alex Oliveira here, but I understand that Sobotta is a dangerous opponent. A very dangerous opponent. I just think that Oliveira is going to get it done. Sobotta hasn't fought in the UFC since March of 2018. I believe it was the London card before the last London card against Leon Edwards. Lost there by TKO in like the final second of the round, I believe it was. He's not going to win against a guy like Alex Oliveira. Plus, Oliveira is the shorter guy with a reach advantage. You can't get on the inside of a guy who's shorter with a reach advantage, or at least it's very, very difficult to. I doubt Sobotta's going to be wanting to stand up, but then again, Oliveira's jiu-jitsu is no joke. I'm going to go with Oliveira. I think he gets the job done. Activity is on his side as well. He gets it done over Sobotta. Moving on, Paul Craig versus Gadzhi Hermad Antigulov. One take. I got it in the first try. I'm very happy with myself. Paul Craig versus Gadzhi Hermad Antigulov. Great fight. Gadzhi Hermad Antigulov was a great prospect coming into the UFC. 20-4 before he went up against Ion Cutelaba. Then he got TKO'd viciously. And then he got viciously TKO'd by Mikhail Alexiejczuk in punches that didn't even seem that big. And he's an older guy, 33 years of age, 5'9" at light heavyweight, man. Paul Craig's a big guy. Paul Craig is one of these guys who could move up to heavyweight. He'd be a small heavyweight, but I reckon he could move up to heavyweight if he wanted to. I mean, OSP made a good run against Ben Rothwell. If you're telling me Paul Craig was signed against Todd Duffy next weekend, I like Paul Craig's chances. I think he might get it done, but still, Craig, in my opinion, is going to get this one done. He's younger. In my opinion, he could have been coming off a win against Shogun in his last fight, but still, fights a guy like Gadzhi Hermad Antigulov, the last guy who ends with Ov or has an Ov in his name. Actually, no, he doesn't. Magomed Ankalaev. Fuck. Every one of them ends with Ov instead of when I need it to. That's so annoying. But still, Paul Craig gets it done over Antigulov. I think he gets it done by rocking him and then putting him in a submission. I don't like the fact that Antigulov's coming off a long layoff, not to mention a long layoff, but also two TKO losses back-to-back. That's not a good sign for me, and he's not a big guy either, so I don't see him just completely ragdolling Paul Craig, who is no slouch in the grappling. I think Paul Craig's going to hit him with something big, go for a takedown, get on top and finish it by TKO or submission. Maybe a mix of both. Paul Craig gets it done in the first or second round. Moving on, Carla Esparza versus Marina Rodriguez. Not to mention Paul Craig was supposed to fight Ryan Spann at UFC London in March. He's at a full camp. Moving on, Carla Esparza versus Marina Rodriguez. Great fight. I'm sweating making this video. Esparza versus Rodriguez. Great fight. I like it. Rodriguez is undefeated, but has had 2 draws in her career, which kind of means you aren't undefeated, let's be real. But still, undefeated, never lost a fight. I guess, to use the literal term of undefeated. I think Carla Esparza beats her. Marina Rodriguez has had some great fights in her career, but lost to Cynthia Calvillo. Lost to another girl that was a close fight. That's a little bit of a step up in competition, which I'll just find right now for you guys. Where the fuck is it? Where she lost to the other girl? Where the fuck is it? Where she had that draw to another girl? And Randa Marcos. Another girl who was jump up the rankings. Top 10 level guy. Or girl, sorry. Fucking hell, that's dangerous nowadays in 2020. Girl in the women's divisions. Top 10. Great fighter. Same with Cynthia Calvillo. Each time she's had the jump up, she has failed. I think this is a jump up above the jump up, which I don't know why they would do. I'm going to be going with Carla Esparza getting the job done. Even though Marina Rodriguez looked pretty good against Tecia Torres, Carla Esparza is just a little bit of a better version of Tecia Torres. It isn't quite as fast, but it's probably a bit stronger and more smothering. I think that Marina Rodriguez is going to lose to Carla Esparza, and Esparza gets the job done. Moving on. Up the card, Fabricio Werdum versus Alexander Gustafsson, the people's co-main event. I have no idea why the co-main event is what it is, but this one's the feature fight. Werdum versus Gustafsson. I like it very much. I think Gustafsson wins brutally by TKO. I just really don't like the fact that Gustafsson looks morbidly obese. That really that really worries me a lot. I saw a video with Gustafsson. You know, training much. He looked a little bit he looked happy, which is never a good sign for an athlete. When you see an athlete look happy, that means they ain't trying hard enough. I didn't like what I saw in the interview. I still think Gustafsson's going to get it done. I thought Jan Vellante was going to get it done against Maurice Green not too long ago, and Jan Vellante ended up being morbidly obese on the scales. Rather than just, and here's what all light heavyweights should do, show up in light heavyweight shape at heavyweight. Just don't cut weight. Be in the same exact shape, but don't worry about the weight cut. And just go in there like a light heavyweight, and you will dust up these heavyweights like they're fucking nothing. If Jan Vellante came in the same shape that he was in when he fights at light heavyweight, he probably would have won. But no, what did Jan Vellante do? He became morbidly obese and died of cardiac arrest. Not died, but lost due to cardiac arrest in the middle of his fight. I'm not saying that this is in any way a similar situation. Gustafsson's, of course, going to be in way better shape. It is just a worry of mine because I'm having PTSD about Vellante versus Green, because I picked Vellante to win, and I was damn close. But I think that Gustafsson's going to get it done. I don't like the fact that Werdum lost to Alexei Olenek. Even though I predicted Olenek to beat him, I thought that was a fucking steal of the odds. Why is Olenek such an underdog against Derek Lewis as well, by the way? I know Derek Lewis has power, but still, Olenek's no slouch. And Olenek was a huge underdog against Werdum. Even though Werdum looked like he melted since last time he came back. Like, he went away because of USADA. They caught him. It was an actual USADA thing, in my opinion. Because he came back, deflated as hell, sagging all over the place, like tripping over his own gut, to be honest with you. Unfortunate shape. Gustafsson gets it done. I think he TKOs him early. I just think Gustafsson's going to be too quick. Got the reach advantage as well, which is always handy. Got the height as well. He's going to fit right in at heavyweight. And he starts off with a big KO win against Fabricio Werdum. Gustafsson gets it done. Moving on up the card. No. That's what I want to be the co-main event. The actual co-main event is Mauricio Shogun Rua versus Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. I'm looking forward to it. It's not the co-main event, in my opinion. But I understand some of these fighters that have fought for a long time, these veterans, having their contract, and I found this out a few months ago, certain people having their contract that they have to be in a certain position on cards. Gilbert Melendez, for a long time, had to be on the main card of a fight night, or the headliner of the prelims of a pay-per-view as well, which is why he headlined the prelims against Arnold Allen. There's a lot of these fighters, like Lyoto Machida, had this weird contract where if he got a finish, he would get paid so much more. I'm sure that Shogun has a contract that puts him in the co-main event or main event, because otherwise, why the fuck is he there? But still, a veterans fight, the trilogy that no one fucking asked for, I'm going to be going with Shogun Rua. He's still got it, man. I think Shogun still got it a little bit. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, you know, if feeding a carrot to a bus isn't the first sign of brain trauma in CTE, because that happened, okay? Ask Chael Peace on it. That actually happened. I just don't know what is. That's clear signs of CTE. You're feeding carrots to buses, but either way, I still think he loses. He's coming off a KO loss to Ryan Spann, which was absolutely brutal. But let's not forget, before the draw to Paul Craig, Shogun Rua beat Tyson Pedro. Before that, he lost to Anthony Smith, fair enough, but Anthony Smith's a top contender. Maybe not the best top contender in the world since he lost to Glover Teixeira, but still. Before that, Shogun beat Jan Vellante by TKO, beat Corey Anderson, 2015, beat Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, 2014, lost to OSP, lost to Henderson, but before that, and after that, he went on a big streak. I like Shogun Rua here. I think he gets it done, not to mention, I think the chin of Nogueira is gone. I watched him walk around the farm, a little video I saw, it just got recommended to me. Rodrigo Nogueira was just walking around his farm. He looks like he's going to snap. Like, honestly, he looks so stiff and damaged from his career. He looks like if he just turns too much the wrong way, he'll just fucking crumple into dust. It's worrying for me. I think Nogueira is going to get KO'd and chinned. Even though Spann hits hard, I think Shogun gets him in the second round by TKO. Shogun Rua gets it done, but listen, close fight. They're both old fucks that haven't got it anymore, so anything could happen. I'm just going with Shogun Rua. Moving on to the main event. Darren Till versus Robert Whittaker. Here we go. I am not going to be happy with the outcome of this fight. These two are probably two of my most favourite fighters in the UFC. I'm just not going to be happy with the fight, man. Whatever happens, I'm going to be sad. But I think that Darren Till wins. I really do. I don't know why my fucking bottom of my nose is itching so much. God, I should stop doing coke. I need to get back on meth. But still, I think Till beats Whittaker. I really do. I think elite strikers beat Robert Whittaker. And after that last KO against Adesanya, it just worries me when I see... There's certain guys that can get hit on the chin and it doesn't really worry me. Now, don't get me wrong, Darren Till is not one of those guys because we've seen him KO'd by Jorge Masvidal, but at the same time, when I watch Whittaker get hit on the chin, I really, really worry. And I shouldn't have to do that. But I am worrying more and more because he's been through the wars with Romero. You know, he's had the KO loss to Adesanya now. He's had some tough fights at middleweight as well. People forget about his come-up. People think that Whittaker, and I know Mixed Molly Whoppery made a video about him running through the entire middleweight division, which was kind of what happened. He ran through Murderer's Row. I understand what Whittaker did, but there were some close fights in there, and I say elite strikers beat Robert Whittaker. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson beat Robert Whittaker. Well, Court McGee beat Robert Whittaker, but we won't even count that one for now, because that was a long time ago. Wonderboy beat Whittaker. Long time ago, he was at welterweight, I get it, but still, an elite striker, no? Was winning that fight before then? But still, not the Whittaker that we know now. Whittaker moves up, loses to Adesanya, elite striker. Okay, that's another sign that maybe elite strikers beat him. But what people forget are the razor close fights that Whittaker had on his come up. Now, I'm agreeing that he won those fights. But the fight against Uriah Hall, razor close fight. The fight against Rafael Natal, close, really, really close. And these guys are adept strikers. I feel as though Darren Till is going to catch Robert Whittaker on the chin. I actually wouldn't have minded if Whittaker was coming back in April, but this is another long layoff for him. And not to mention, it's a layoff after a KO in front of his whole entire home crowd, which must have been humiliating. Darren Till's coming off a clean win against Kelvin Gastelum. That chin's now gotten over a year to rest since the Masvidal fight. In fact, a year and 4 months to be precise. Since that Masvidal KO, he's going to be more adjusted to middleweight. He looks in better shape than he did in the Gastelum fight as well. Not to mention that in the Gastelum fight, a lot of people talk about how Gastelum didn't show up. I fucking hit you with the fact that Till maybe didn't show up. He got there a couple days before. Had to cut weight. Had to do the media. He only got there a few days before the event. Had no time to adjust whatsoever. He's getting to Fight Island today. No, not today. A couple days ago by the time this video goes out. Or 1 day ago. I have no fucking idea when he's getting to Fight Island. No idea whatsoever, but I know it's way sooner and at least a week before or 6 days before he's actually fighting. I think we're going to see a better Darren Till at middleweight. I think we're going to see a Darren Till with a bit more power. I think he's going to crack Whittaker jumping in with a right hand, because Whittaker seems to be lunging with his shots a little bit more recently. When Whittaker fights guys who are grapplers that figure out striking, like Yoel Romero, like Jacare Souza, he dusts them up real bad. But he doesn't shoot takedowns, Whittaker. So when you're faced with an elite striker, time to strike. You're going to strike with Darren Till. I think he's going to lose. I hope, dude, I don't even know what I hope for. I just hope that whoever loses doesn't lose humiliatingly. I hope that we get a good scrap in the meantime. But what I am going to predict is a second round, first part of the second round. Actually, I know that people shit on me for picking Till by TKO, but he can do it, and Whittaker's the guy to do it against. In fact, this might be the best matchup for Till out of anyone in the top 5. Guys like Jared Cannonier is a tough matchup for Till. Do I think he would do well? Maybe. That's another bridge to cross when we come to it, but there's some bad matchups for Till in that top 5. Like, I think Hermansson is a nightmare matchup for Darren Till. Terrible matchup. I just think that Till's going to beat Whittaker. He lunges in a little bit too much, and if he falls in that habit again like he did against Adesanya, he's going to lunge in, Till's going to pull back, plant a left hand right on his chin. It might not even be the hardest shot in the world, but I think that Whittaker's going to go down. And it sucks for me to say that shit, man, because I've been on the Whittaker train for so long. That Adesanya KO might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Not to mention, it wasn't just a KO. It was kind of 2 in 1 night. Because remember that first round as well. I think Till gets it done. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Darren Till by second round TKO. Click that button there. Goodbye.